All right, all right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Meta One Design headquarters, and we're back for this week's episode of Beyond the NFT. My name is Sinful, and I am your host for tonight's show. I already see 11 of you are already on Parcel. Big shout out to you all. We have we have Shelly Van, we have Steve Sai, Toria, welcome Toxic Waifu, hello Zom, Mary Shark made it tonight. Welcome Mary, Mew Mew Mew. We have Meta Wolf, Multi NFT is joining us, as well as Make an NFT. And let's see who else. We have Zom in the building as well. And someone just popped in as Derek is in the building too. Welcome, Derek. And we have a couple of you also watching on Twitch. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, we are streaming to Twitch, Twitter, and Kick, as well as YouTube. If any of you would like to listen in over there as well. Uh, Before we get started, I would like to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Bucktown MMA, founded by our friend Jay Isip. Bucktown is a mixed martial arts program whose mission is to empower youth and young combat athletes through their hard work, discipline, and mentorship. If you would like to learn more, head over to bucktown.org/support. There you can read about how to support Bucktown and how Bucktown also what they do to support young combat athletes all around the world. So, yep, you can jump in, read a little bit about them, as well as even pick up some merch or NFTs. All proceedings go back to the program. I would also like to take a moment to thank those of you that have made any purchases at the Mew merch shop in the past week. So big shout out to Jen and Oddjob for picking up a Mew hoodie this week. And lastly, I would like to thank those of you that took the time to produce some Mew merch content. As hoodies are arriving at your doorstep, you have been producing some amazing content, and I will definitely be asking you all if I could use it for marketing purposes in the future. And thank you for doing your part to help keep the Mew dream alive, everyone. And as we've been doing our intro here, I see a couple more individuals have jumped in. Welcome to the TV. Um, on the rise, welcome, welcome. Welcome, Mean Green Doge. Thank you for being here. And yeah, I guess it's a great time to get started. Without further delay, it is a pleasure to introduce this week's guest. He is a composer, multi-instrumentalist, and creator of the Soundscapes project. Let's give a warm Decentraland welcome to Bobby Yaps. How are you, Bobby? Oh, Bobby, you're muted. There you are.
I am muted. Hey, sorry about that. I'm doing well. How are you, man? Your mic got a little bit low there for a sec, so just check your input.
Let's
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, there you go.
Let me see. I think it's happening again. All right. How about now?
Cutting in and out. Oh yeah, now it's good.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. The mic sometimes gets a little funky. I have to unplug the XLR and plug it back in. The classic.
hmm
So
That's
usually I like to start the show by passing the mic over to our guests and, allowing yourself the opportunity to give yourself a proper introduction, as well as even tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
well, cool. Yeah, thanks, Sinful, for having me, man. This is really cool. Thank you for dragging me back to DCL. It's been a really long time. Um, Yeah, so I think you kind of kicked it off a little bit. I'm a composer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a musician, I'm an educator, um, and I'm sure I'll forget something here and there, but my life pretty much revolves around music. I kind of grew up, playing little keyboards and playing stuff by ear, and I started learning on piano, taught myself guitar, started singing, just kind of doing everything, just trying to, immerse myself as much as possible, in music. I just loved it. And then, yeah, I thought, it's really cool to teach others, how to do music. So I became a music teacher, all the while, just learning how to compose and just being like a real student of, everything music, how music works, music theory, studying all different types of styles of music. Just really, again, just like immersing myself in it. And so, fast forward to, today, I've got, a lot of different projects that I'm working on. Obviously, my Web3 project, which is, almost complete, which is the Soundscapes project. But I'm also working on a solo album. I've got several bands that I'm in. I have In Transit, which is a sort of a trio, and we play locally around the New York, Connecticut, New Jersey area. And then I work with this amazing singer, Alex, who we've been writing some songs together. And recently, we're doing a song for a Target ad, so that's kind of been consuming my time recently. And then yeah, just kind of working on my own stuff. Hey, there it is. What's going on? Yes, I mean, I'm just kind of all over the place in music, and then I do like a lot of work for hire stuff. So, yeah, and then I got the Web3 thing going on. This Soundscapes project, which is basically like it's kind of it's almost like a vanity, selfish little project for me. It's just like all of the styles of music that I wish I could just write all the time. Like the sort of film style music, in all these different themes. The dark, the light. Sort of like progressive symphonic rock stuff. But that's the gist of it. Just like a all around musician kind of guy. So.
I mean, that is awesome. Yeah, so would definitely like to start at the early days in your music career, your music playing days. How did you get started with music? Did you have a relative that was a musician, or did you have a friend that inspired you?
My family is somewhat musical. My mom sings. My grandfather, her dad, my grandfather played the violin. He came over from Italy. My uncle plays the accordion. My other uncle is who I play with in one of the bands that I'm in. He plays keys and sings and guitar. So I mean, there's a lot of musicality in the family. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of it. I wasn't really influenced by them when I was young. It just kind of happened. It's kind of in the genes, I guess. I was just kind of messing around on like one of these little toy pianos back when I was like 4, 5, 6 years old, and my mother thankfully picked up on it. She heard me kind of playing like by ear, like songs off of the TV and commercials and stuff. But then she realized like I was playing not only like the melodies, but I was also playing the bass lines too. And she kind of picked up on that. So I'm thankful for that. So, she kind of pushed me, and, kept, tried to keep me going. And eventually she gave me some lessons. And it just kind of took off from there, just like I said, I just love everything about like learning about music. So
Hmm.
yeah, so it started really, really at that point. And then, yeah, I mean, everything, all my family that was, into music would just kind of help, push me along and influence me in different ways. So thankfully I had that.
Hmm. And you mentioned multi instrumentalist, more particularly being piano, guitar, and singing. Are there any other instruments that you play?
So the main ones, yeah, piano, guitar, singing. I play bass guitar in all my recordings. Drums, I do most of those on all my recordings. And then, the fun thing is when you become a music teacher, at least I don't know how it is everywhere else, but at least up here in New York, is when when you get your master's in music education, you have to learn every single freaking instrument. So, part of my education there was like learning how to play all the brass instruments, all the woodwind instruments, all the percussion instruments, all the string instruments, all that stuff. And I loved it. Like that's again, I just love everything about it. Some instruments are harder than others, but I really do kind of have a good facility on like most instruments, unless it's something that's like really odd. So yeah.
Like, what would you say would be like the easiest group to learn from? Like, group meaning if you pick one instrument up out of like the group, you could do the rest of them.
That's a good question. I would say either like strings or woodwinds. Strings are pretty much the same concept. It's hold down a note, and the higher you go, the higher the note is. The challenge with that is it's different tunings for each instrument. So you just gotta kind of wrap your mind around the different tunings and things like that. Woodwind instruments tend to be a lot similar too. It's kind of like as you cover the holes on the instrument gets longer, the notes get lower, things like that. So there's similarities. I guess as a guitar player, I find string instruments to be the most, I guess, easy to wrap your mind around how they work. Although like those classical string instruments are pretty tough to play, though. Those, the violin and getting that whole thing and holding it with your neck and the bow and all that stuff. It's hard.
The
It's a
fingers.
challenge. Yeah, and right, and with each instrument, it's like they're all different scale. The violin's very small, so the distance between all the notes are very small. As in with like the double bass, the thing's taller than you. It's like the distance between the notes are really big, and you got to move like 4 inches for no. It's crazy, but as long as you kind of understand how it works, you'll get it. It's just kind of wrapping your mind around the system of how these instruments work. But none of them are really difficult. None of them are really easy. They all have their challenges, and yeah, but I would say strings for me.
Strings it is. Okay, so out of I guess out of all the instruments that you have learned to play, at this point, do you have a favorite?
Ooh. Well, favorite to play. I mean, favorite to play. I definitely it's a dead tie between the piano and the guitar, because I write a lot of my stuff on piano. I write a lot of my stuff on guitar. I love to rock out. I grew up on rock and roll. I love to rock out on the guitar. So to play, I like those. But as a listener, I'm a huge, and again, I'm into like film scores and things like that. I'm a huge fan of like the French horn, the trombone, like that mid to low brass. I love that.
Okay.
And also the cello. Love the cello. Cello is a beautiful instrument.
The French horn, do you play?
I've played it. Not an easy instrument. The mouthpiece is small, so you got to get that air really focused in there. Not an easy instrument to play. So no, I don't play it on the regular, but it's if you know how to play it really well, it's just gorgeous.
That's awesome. I mean, definitely love to learn like, a little more about even like what your favorite instruments to play. Like I'm assuming as a composer, having this wide range of instruments that you could play kind of does help you with composing your music. So here I'm jumping over to the Soundscapes OpenSea page here.
Well,
Oh,
to be fair,
to be
to be fair,
fair.
I don't play all these instruments. A lot of them are a lot of like the strings and stuff are sampled. I wish I could. I wish I had the room in my studio to put all these instruments. Pop on my little camera here so you can see where I'm at. But this is my little studio. It's very small. Got my guitars back there. Got my keyboards over there. That's my office space. But no, I don't have all those instruments, so I have to work with samples a lot. So mostly what you hear, I got drums, I've got keys, I got string, guitars, things like that. That'll be all me. And then if you hear any sort of brass or any sort of orchestral stuff, it's usually sampled, but done so in a way that's very meticulous, and it takes a long time. To sample stuff and make it sound realistic. It's very hard. So it takes a long time to do that.
Takes a little bit of master, a little bit of can't find the word right now. In a way, it's like editing.
It takes a lot of nuance. I mean,
Nuance.
There's a lot of nuances to, like, if you want to, somebody to play like short notes here, and then you want it to be long here, and you got to, volume and crescendo. It's like all that stuff you have to do, almost manually. And sometimes those are even different samples. You want to do short little hits; those are different samples. And so putting that all together can be tedious sometimes. But
what
it
are
works.
what are some of your favorite programs that you use to to compose your work?
I'm pretty much strictly a Logic Pro person. I grew up on Macs, and they just work. So I'm pretty much a Logic Pro person. I've also used Ableton Live. That's good for like live performing. You could throw some loops in there, and that's a cool program to use. I did a little bit of like Reason Cubase, but I'm just not, I'm not well versed enough in it to really, have a good workflow with it. I just kind of, people tend to gravitate toward what they're used to, and I'm just used to Logic Pro, and so that's what I use for the most part.
So I'm looking over at the Twitch chat. I have a question from Toxic Waifu. She would like to know which instrument was the hardest to learn.
Great question. Believe it or not, the flute. Not to learn so much, but it's so hard to get a sound on the flute, because you gotta blow that air like perfectly across the sound hole. It was very difficult. And you might get it one day, and then the next day it's not there. So believe it or not, I really found the flute to be the hardest one for me to learn and to get. It's a really great question.
I believe it
also,
too. Go ahead.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I feel like some of those woodwind instruments are tough. Like there's the the bassoon and all those double reed instruments. Those are hard to get sounds on. So for me, I don't know. I had a little bit of a block with the flute and some of those woodwind instruments.
Yeah. And I mean, definitely the flute, yeah, I believe it. And another one that I've always seen as impossible personally is like the violin, with trying to get it to play. Yeah. My sister at one point would play violin for her school band, and yeah, I could not figure it out for the life of me how to make the pretty sound come out.
Yeah, it's, once you get there's a combination of different muscles you need to use in a certain way, and until you get that, it's going to be so hard. And the violin's tough because it's not forgiving at all. Like when you're not playing the violin well, it's really bad sounding. And so it doesn't, there's no sort of incentive to continue. It's like, oh my God, this sounds like crap, But once you kind of get all those pieces and all those muscles working in the right way, it does sort of become second nature. I found that as much as I do love the cello, I found the cello hard too, because the way you got to hold the bow with your right hand, it just made my hand cramp up. So I don't know. It's, again, I was saying before, like every instrument has their own, has a pro and a con. It was interesting to kind of go through that and learn about all those different instruments.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you mentioned that as a music teacher in New York, like you kind of had to touch base with every single instrument in a way, or every group, and familiarize yourself with them. So yeah. So let's see. Scrolling into your Soundscapes by Bobby Yaps, what could you tell us like a little overview about this project, and could we perhaps listen to a couple of your favorite ones?
Sure. Yeah. So this was kind of like well, I guess I'll talk about how I started it. This was if you see on the top of the page, it's been since July of 2021, so we're looking at over 3 years now. Um, I started it because I just wanted to try to, I thought I was like one of the first ones to like, oh, let me put some music on the blockchain. Not little did I know at that point there was like a bunch of people doing it. Um, but I was like, let me just mint like one of these little these instrumental cues that I've been writing, and that's where I wrote which one was it? It was Dark Number One, The Haunting Truth. I wrote that one. That was the first one. Some of these, that one I wrote like almost 10 years ago now. Like it's like 9 years old. I wrote that as like a little creepy instrumental cue that I wanted to maybe like license for something. It never did, and so I was like, let me just put that on the put that on the blockchain, see what happens. And nothing happened. And then I did Dark Number Two. It was another one of those little kind of creepy things I wrote. I was like, okay, cool, and put it on there. And then just out of nowhere, that summer of 2021, people were just buying NFTs like crazy, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. So I got a couple of sales,
Mm-hmm.
and more sales, and more sales, and I started networking on Twitter. At the time, it was still Twitter. Um, and it really just started to pick up, and I was like, that's really awesome. I never really had that sort of organic growth before. And so it just kind of incentivized me to just keep going with it. And so I just had this idea of like, okay, well, what kind of music do I really like to write, other than like, okay, I already do like rock and roll, and I already do like this pop stuff, and I already do like all that stuff. It's like I really love that sort of film music, or like these instrumental, little incidental cues. It's like, okay, so I wrote a light, something that's a little bit more like meditative and happy sounding, calming. And then I kind of went into, okay, what other themes can I write? And then I did like this uh, primal theme, like drums. It's about like, this primal force of being, a life force on Earth. And then I wrote like digitals, a little more EDM. I'm not into that a little bit. I'm not into that very much. So I was like, let me do some digital stuff. Let me do some EDM stuff. And that's where I came with the digital. And then the unknown was just like a prog rock kind of orchestral stuff, which I just really like. And that's my favorite series. I love the unknown series. So I took like 5 different themes, 5 different, styles of instrumental music, and just put them into this little project. 5 songs each. I'm still missing 3, so I'm gonna mint 3 more. But that's really where it is. Just like, what kind of music do I really like to write? And and that's where it came about. And it just kind of came up with this theme of the eyeball as like sort of like a visual thing, because you're supposed to almost like see the music as it's as it's being played. So I don't know. It was just kind of grew from nothing almost. Like, let me just try something, and then like, all right, cool. Let me just keep writing and keep writing, and that's where it came out. That's where it came about.
I mean, I think all the best projects kind of start out from nothing, from just, just the want to do something, like you wanting to do something and create. I noticed that the primal one image is the image on your Twitter, as well as even the
Yeah,
main image here on Soundscapes project.
my PFP.
Yep.
Yeah, and at that kind of, I don't know how that happened, but I got a lot of pushback when I tried to change it. I used it as my PFP when that came out a couple of years ago. Um, it was a favorite of a lot of people, especially that during those days when I was playing in the true band room a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and I tried I tried to change it to like my newest piece, and people were just like, "Who are you? I don't know you. You're the Red Lion's Eye." Like, okay, cool. Let me just keep it that way. So it just stuck, and I never changed it really since.
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny how, like, those things kind of resonate and stick with people. And then, like, once you change it, they're like, it's like, oh, I lost you. I can't find the red eye, the red lion's eye. Like, where you been? And they're like, well, I've been a blue eye for a
Yeah,
little bit, but you haven't seen me. uh,
exactly. Yeah, it's recognizable, and people know like when they see that that's me. So I guess, all right, let's just keep it. I don't hate it.
so I guess which one? What are a couple of these NFTs that are, like, resonate the most with you, and possibly we could play for everyone that's listening.
Sure. I mean, I Again, I'm a huge fan of anything basically from the Unknown series. 3, 4, and 5. 3 is a sold out one. That's why it's not on sale.
Mm.
We could play 3. 3 is probably my favorite. Uh, it's got this beautiful sort of guitar line that sort of soars over the top of everything. It's in weird time signatures. It's pretty cool. So I like number 3.
All right, let's play number 3.
Sweet.
Oh, okay, so we were closer to the end then. um,
Yeah, we were just just at the end there. Yep.
yeah, I was really enjoying the electric guitar there, and then kind of how it came to there was like a harmonic like build up and then pause, and then to
Yeah.
the guitar breakdown. That was sick. Oh my God. I know like at the beginning in your intro you had mentioned that it's like it is your what was it? Selfish project of music you wish you could do. I mean, I think right here this is a clear example that you're doing it. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I'm
Amazing.
definitely doing it. Yeah, I think what I meant by that was like, it's music that I haven't done, in my professional career so far, and just like, you know what, let's just do it because, yeah, that one's definitely. I love everything from the Unknown, and like, oh, they all kind of have. Well, especially the Unknown has like this little bit of a storyline to it. Like they leave Earth to kind of find a cure for this deadly disease, and they find this like alien planet, which is that one we just heard.
Hmm.
They discover that there's life on that planet too, and it's kind of cool. So it's there's more. Like I try to keep adding more and more kind of lore to this thing as it goes forward.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely something that you could create a story around that lore. I know One Exists down there is very into lore and storytelling. Um, he,
Mhm.
and let's see, perhaps maybe for spooky season, since we are in October, maybe we could play Dark One, The Haunted Truth. I believe you mentioned that
Yeah, let's do it. That's
this was your first.
Yeah, that was my very first one. Yeah, it's kind of a creepy, almost like a like a Trent Reznor kind of creepy vibe, if you know what I'm going for.
Okay,
Like
okay.
this sort of like detuned piano thing. So I'll shut up and you can play it.
Oh, that ending. Wow, it surprised me, right? And you were mentioning this was your first sound that you minted onto the blockchain. And was you mentioned it's 9 years old. Is it 9 years old to this day, or 9 years old when you posted it or when you published it?
uh, no, I wrote it about 9 years ago.
N-
I was again at that point, like back in like 15 or so, I was like, I was really into like trying to get stuff licensed and stuff like that. So I was just writing all these different, short instrumental cues like that. And so yeah, I just had I had a bunch of these little, these little soundscapes, I guess, for lack of a better word. Um, and it just kind of fit that I was like, let me just try to, when I minted it, like 3 years ago, it's like, let me just try, try this one. This is pretty cool.
Hmm.
It's more of a true soundscape, in the true sense of the word than some of the other songs. But yeah, no, I wrote it a while ago, but it just kind of fit from like the first one to throw up there.
I see, I see. Man, I'm still thinking of the
Yeah.
Unknown 3. Like, I am so jealous of everyone that holds one at this moment. um,
Yeah, so two of them, like I'm so um, I'm like so flattered. Like two of these sold out, like the day they dropped, and I was like, holy crap! Like I never thought that like people would just like my music that much. Unknown 3, and then Dark 5 was another one. That's like a really orchestral, kind of creepy one. The thing I love about the unknowns is like by the time you get to number five sort of encompasses the themes from all of the first four. So you'll hear that theme from 3 come back, and it's kind of a uh, cool little thing. So if you listen to all of them,
mhm.
yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to listen to all of them. Come back and well, I'll definitely have this page open and listen to the rest. Let's see, we have about maybe 11 minutes left here. Steve Sai has a question for you. Do you have any tracks on
All
sound.xyz?
right. No, I do not have any tracks on sound. Um, yeah, I was kind of. I never had any direct relationship with them. I know some people had good relationships with them, some people had bad relationships with them. I was never against sound. I I'm still not against sound. I probably will mint something there at some point. But no, I do not have anything on sound. I'm actually going to be releasing a remix of um, one of the digital pieces, Digital 5, which is more of, it's not really like a EDM song. It's more of just like more of a soundscape again, like this sort of digital electronic sort of soundscape. So I wrote a remix to that, which is not going to be part of the proper project. So I might drop that on sound, but I got plenty of stuff to go here. Working on an album too, which I'll probably drop somewhere. But I guess the short answer is no. I don't have anything on sound right now.
Hmm. Yep. He to follow up, he did mention that sound is now open to all artists. So because I think he heard you say that you did not have a relationship with him, meaning you didn't have the in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, and it's been that way for a while. I know. I've just been kind of like focusing on obviously like my IRL stuff that's going on, but also trying to finish this project up. I got 3 more pieces here, so
Ooh.
um, yeah. I mean, like I said, I will probably drop there at some point, so I will definitely keep you updated on that.
Yep. And I mean, there's just so many different platforms to publish your work into these days that it becomes a little tough to figure out which one you want to drop on which platform.
Yeah, it gets very confusing, especially for someone like me who kind of like I'm not in here all the time. I'm not in like the Web3 world all the time. Um, so it's if you miss like a week, and you come back, it's like what the hell? Like the space moves so fast. So yeah, it's a little confusing sometimes. I know sound has been a solid one for a while though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I guess as a beginning to the final questions, um, which I should have should have started with this one, but I was just so excited. Like, how did you get into Decentraland and begin, performing at the True Band Room? Because like. Like in my journey, like I came in October 2021. Like you were on the screen, performing at the True Band Room when I was just a little Mew, and I was like, wow, seeing you at the True Band Room. So yeah, how did you meet Shelly, or how did you kind of how did this opportunity come to you?
It's almost a blur, honestly. I know if you remember him, Jack Frost,
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't been in the space for a couple of years now, but we were pretty close. We kind of met each other on Twitter, and we were pretty close for a while. And I know he was really into performing in the metaverse, and I was like, okay, what the hell is this all about? And then, like, I guess through that circle, I met Shelly, and I'm not sure if it was in Decentraland or if it was on Twitter, but we definitely hit it off. And I was like, listen, I'm a musician. Let me play. Like, this is really cool. I'm down to try something new. I've been playing IRL for like almost all my life. Let's try this. Um, and so yeah, I kind of met through that circle.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was addicting. It was really cool. I loved just like performing from my basement studio. I got a little spoiled there because I'd much rather just come down to my studio and perform for a bunch of people and then go back upstairs and put my kids to bed than having to lug all my crap out to a bar to 2 in the morning. It's like this was really cool. um but yeah, I think it was kind of through I met Shelly and Jack on Twitter, and uh they kind of dragged me into the True Band Room. I played a bunch of shows there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I have a few of your POAPs from those times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so myself and Kanessa and like this community and this Discord that we are currently sitting in, the CBD, we're kind of wanting to kind of do a little festival for November, which is Music Month. On Decentraland,
Hmm.
and I was wondering if you would be interested in performing at make the Bobby Yaps comeback for the festival next month.
Yeah. That would be amazing. What dates are we looking at?
I'm
Because
think
I'm really excited for that.
I'm thinking we're thinking more like the weekend after the actual music fest, the one that is hosted by
Okay.
the Centraland. So that would be
Hmm.
after Thanksgiving, the weekend after Thanksgiving. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, I
All
mean,
right, cool. Yeah. I'm really excited. Yeah. I would say, mark me down. I think I'm free, so let's do this, man.
and if anything, like if like we're kind of even thinking like I do understand these are like busy times of the week of the year for everyone, even if like it could if you're thinking of something pre-recorded or wanting to go live, both options would be open.
Cool. Yeah. I've done both, and I think both are fun. Yeah, I'll see what if I'm able to go live, that would be amazing. I'd love to go live just so I can kind of be in there with everybody and react at the same time. But if I have to pre-record, I'll pre-record. But either way, it's been a while since I played. I don't remember the last show I played. I actually think it wasn't in DCL. It was in another metaverse, but it's been over a year, I think, since I played in metaverse. So I'll have a lot more new material. So I'm excited. Yeah, let's do this.
Let's make that Bobby Yaps come back for sure. Okay,
Let's do it.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be in touch with you about like that and about like more information and yeah, like personally, like a live performance to me is like the top. Like that's what I love
Yeah.
to watch because those are the opportunities that like where like community members, the people that are listening in, could
Hmm.
really like catch a glimpse of who you are.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking about this, I think, on our space last Thursday too. Is like playing in the metaverse, especially when you're live, is you can actually, you know, you can interact with each and every person in the crowd if you wanted to.
Mhm.
So I would love to be there and do it live. That way I can do that.
All right. Well, definitely, mark. marking you down for the festival, and we'll definitely chat more about it. It's funny because I look over at my Twitch chat, and Toxic Waifu was asking when is your next gig on Decentraland? Looks like possibly next month might be it.
Looks like November.
Yep. And I mean, if
Yeah.
anything, if you end up playing before, like definitely let me know. I will be there.
For sure. Yeah, I don't foresee anything's going to happen in the next month. Usually, if I do anything, it's booked out a couple months in advance. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'd love to get back in the band room. I've played a couple places in DCL, and I love it every time. It's just the community here is the best. I've played, like I said, I've played many different metaverses, and this place is like you can just tell like the tight knit community is everything, and that's what kind of kept me here. Like after I started selling out those first few NFTs, it kind of slowed after a while. We went through that sort of lull.
Mhm.
But the thing that kept me here and continuing to work and continuing to network was just the community. Just a solid. You could feel the love and feel the support. So I'm down, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, thank you. Looks like we have
Yeah.
about 2 minutes till our we have to close down here. Final questions. If anyone would like to contact you and either to collaborate or say hello or anything at all, like what would be the best place to reach you?
I spend probably most of my time on Twitter/X, what do you want to call it these days, and you can certainly message me on Discord, although it probably would take me a day or two because I don't check it all the time. I'll check it periodically, but yeah, I would say either X or Discord for sure.
Alrighty, X or
And
Discord.
I'm Bobby Yaps, or I think on X I'm Bobby Yaps Music, but
Hmm.
yeah, that's the best way.
At Bobby Yaps Music, and I will share it out here to Decentraland, so perhaps maybe you can get some follows. And let's see. Hmm. I think I asked you my final question. Yeah. All right. And anything? Oh yeah. Anything you would like to like last words you would like to leave everyone with tonight? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna reiterate, like I'm, you know, I, coming back to DCL really is awesome. It's been a while, and I just loved, and still love this community. So, I just appreciate you kind of forcing me to come back in here after a busy couple of IRL months. And I'm glad, I'm happy, that if I'm gonna play some shows again, in DCL. Maybe I'll get back to the band room again. We'll see, but I'm just appreciative that we connected on this, and just being back here just feels really good. So again, I love this community so much. It's I kind of feel ashamed that I've been away for so long.
Hey man, life happens. Life happens. We each have our,
Yeah.
moments. Tomorrow, I believe, is your third day at work in your new job, correct?
That's my second day. We had today off, so because
Ah,
Monday holiday.
well,
Yeah, my second day. I'm the choral director at one of the high schools up here, so I'm really excited about that too.
well, Bobby, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really happy that you joined us, and even like hopefully the excitement is building up for you for this new client that will be released on the 22nd. Hopefully that even
Yeah.
sparks something even within you to like maybe try to get a little headquarters going or something like that. Like you never know.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that, and that's been I've been talking about that for a while too. So yeah, I'm hopping in for sure, and I'm sure we'll talk.
Mhm, for sure.
We'll talk about that.
Alrighty, well,
I appreciate you having me on, man.
yeah, thank you for your time, and go get those kids in bed. They enjoyed the extra hour tonight.
Yep, it's bedtime now.
Well, thank you. And yeah, so anyone that is still here with us in world, I guess I'll play some music for us for the rest of the evening. Thank you so much for your time. I just saw Peter Parker pop in. Welcome, Peter. And Chrono T, thank you for being here. We're just finishing up now, but don't you fret. We will play some music. Maybe I'll actually, even for a little bit, I'm gonna play some more of the Soundscapes by Bobby Yaps NFTs.
1 through 4 are always good. Unknowns are always good. Primals are always good. Darks and lights are more of like that soundscape stuff. So whatever you want to do, man, I'm game. I appreciate you, spinning the music, and I'm gonna hop off. But I really appreciate everyone here, and I appreciate you, Sinful, for having me on. And I will be back, I
Yep.
promise.
And oh yeah, before you hop off, next Twitter space, or what can we look forward to coming from you?
Sure. Yes. So Ghost Train and I have the Twitter space every Thursday, or we try every Thursday. It might be every other, but I think we're going with just a generic sort of hang space. We like to bring it back to like the old days. When spaces were fun. Back in 21, 22. None of this sort of self pumping kind of crap. We just love to hang out and listen to music and talk to people. So it's a fun space. It's very chill, very relaxed. Come on up, talk with us, and have fun. Thursday at usually about 9:30 or 10 o'clock.
All right, Thursday, 9:30 or 10 o'clock. I definitely have that on my calendar, so I'll be definitely looking out for it. Thank you, Bobby.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks again. And again, I'll be back. Love you all, and we'll see you next time.
Take care. All right, let's see. Now, let's how about we start with unknown one.